All right, the goal of this lesson is to understand how to find the value of inverse trig functions without a calculator. So anytime a math question is looking for an exact value, that typically just means don't use a calculator. So inverse trig functions are actually asking you to solve for angles. So remember that cosine of theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So this is just another way of expressing that you need to solve for the angle that has a cosine ratio of square root of 2 over 2. So before we can do this, and especially without a calculator, we need to have our special right triangles ready to go. So we have our 45, 45, 90, or since we're working in radians, pi over 4, pi over 4, pi over 2 triangle. So our 45, 45, 90 is in the ratio of 1, 1, square root of 2. And our 30, 60, 90, so again, we're going to write this in radians. Pi over 6 is 30. Pi over 3 is 60. And in earlier videos, I did go through how to derive these two triangles. That's kind of useful. It really helps with remembering. So here, we have cosine of theta is equal to square root of 2 over 2. So we want to find out what angle that might possibly be. And these triangles, special right triangles, can be used as formula triangles. So I'm just going to throw an x in here. 1x, 1 times x. So you start by looking at, okay, what am I given? I have square root of 2. I know I can't use a calculator. I have to have an exact answer. So it has to be one of these triangles that I can use to help me. Your 45, 45, 90 triangle has a side length of x square root of 2, or in our unit circle, square root of 2. So we know this is the triangle that we are going to use. So then we see, okay, we have adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent over hypotenuse. So if I look at one of these angles, adjacent is 1 over hypotenuse, square root of 2. Well, that doesn't look exactly like that. But remember, you can rationalize the denominator. So you want to get that radical out of the denominator. So I'm going to multiply by square root of 2 over square root of 2. That's okay to do because that's the equivalent of multiplying by 1. And that gives me square root of 2 over 2. Which, yep, that matches. So I know that theta must be pi over 4. Let's do one more of these. Let's say cosine, we want inverse cosine of, oops, that's a little messy there. Let's look for inverse cosine of 1/2. Okay? So first step is determine which of these triangles we're going to use. So we need one of the triangles to have a 1 and a 2. And the only triangle that has that is our 30, 60, 90. So cosine, again, is adjacent over hypotenuse. So which of these angles has an adjacent side that's 1? And obviously they both have a hypotenuse of 2. So which of these angles has an adjacent side of 1? And remember, adjacent just means next to. Well, pi over 6 has an adjacent side of square root of 3, but pi over 3 has an adjacent side of 1, and the hypotenuse is 2. So we know that our angle is pi over 3.